storm swept in just before sundown, heralded by a purple sky and electricity in the air. He sought shelter alongside a grizzled farmer. All he can do is pace, muttering to himself. Can't just stay here. You catch. Gotta find her.
Who?
He looks up at you. My daughter was out down the road. He balls his fists. God, fuck this. He hauls open the door, shielding his face from the fierce dust. He runs out into the storm.
Try to help him.
The dust scours your skin, and razor winds whip at your clothing. You struggle for breath. The maelstrom has turned the world murky red. You don't see the farmer.
Keep going.
You press on through the storm. You see the farmer up ahead. He's on his knees. A great, dark shape made from swirling dust looms over him.
Oh no. Shout a warning.
You manage no more than a cough. The dust thing engulfs the man in his body. The storm whips faster. You can't breathe. You have to get back to shelter.
Oh, that's a run.
You make it to safety, but don't manage any sleep. Storm settles in the early hours. You find the farmer laid out in the street.
Oh.
His corpse a shriveled mass. He has one arm stretched out in front of him, as if to crawl.
Wow. That's monster of a maelstrom. Wow. Going to Detroit.
The rain is coming down so hard, it's a wonder the sidewalk hasn't started to crack. You manage to find a narrow patch under a ledge where you can stay dry.
Wait out the rain.
A squat man, bundled up in a black fur coat and matching hat, approaches. The thick rain flattens and mats his fur. He squints up at you. You're in my spot, he crows.
Okay.
He thanks you as you step aside, back into the rain. You keep walking, hoping to find more shelter. Now that you see the man from a distance, you're not sure the fur is a coat. A pair of red eyes shine back at you. The rain stops a minute later. You look back up the road, but the squat man is gone.
You wander down the street of the city looking for a way to make some cash. Look for work. You're standing outside a department store that emphatically had no day work available. When an exasperated woman carrying a small terrier rushes out onto the sidewalk, "Here, you," she says. "Won't you watch him for me? He keeps chewing my shoes, and I'll only be a minute. Watch the dog." "Thank you," she cries and heads inside. The terrier seems perfectly content in your arms until she returns and scoops him up, leaving you with a very generous tip. Oh, let's explore.
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner, a car approaching.
Let's see. Keep walking.
Unable to afford rescue, you keep walking. The asphalt turns to crooked cobblestones that threaten to wrench your ankle out of place. Was this always a moonless night? The stars multiply, each one looking like a pinprick through which light is exiting the terrestrial world.
Continue walking.
It's hard finding your way through in pitch darkness. You go by touch and sound, feeling the scale of the streets by the echoing of your footsteps, fingers tracing the rough surface of the buildings. And then, a rumble of noise in the distance.
Listen.
You quiet yourself, suddenly fearful. The clear sky tells you it's not thunder, but cannon fire. The city comes alive with fires and shouting. You find yourself trampled by a mob of men in thick brown coats, a phalanx of bayonets advancing up the street.
Ah!
When you come to, there's no sign of the commotion, the war that you were just caught in. The comically shrill honk of a Model A running up the road startles you, and you crawl toward the sidewalk. Above, the sky is a sharp, cold, cloudless blue. A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another.
Shrieking? That's the word choice, shrieking. Makes me wonder what that sounds like.
The man with the truck leaps into the street. "Brother!" he shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle. "Brother!" he screams. They embrace in the road. 30 years,
Oh, wow.
hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him. "No, 32!
I guess one can say that is shrieking. That's funny. Oh, wow.
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling. "Take a photo of us," the driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck.
Let's get out of the road first.
As you usher them onto the sidewalk, the driver says, "Joe, I thought you were dead." The rider freezes. "Joe?" he blurts. "I'm not Joe." The two men stare at one another, each slowly recognizing something alien in their mistaken brother's face.
Move on.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you.
Climb up.
At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door.
Ooh, hecka nosy. Put your ear to the door.
"Looks like we got a visitor." Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough. "Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door." Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. "I always behave myself." He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead.
I'll wait.
After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand. "Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in."
I'll step inside.
Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. and sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. "Tea?" he offers, hoisting a teapot.
Been here long? Let's see. It must be lonely up here.
"Oh, we manage." The tall one sits on the sofa, casually wrapping an arm around the other lighthouse keeper. "The quiet suits us just fine." "He needs his quiet time. He's a writer." The tall one grunts. "I dabble, but you must have some good stories from the road."
Oh, well, I have some.
You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave.
What was that supposed to mean?
The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. The confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise.
Ask around.
You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. "Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit." You decide to seek a second opinion.
Ask around.
You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. "Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes."
Approach the woman.
You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench. "You may. Lovely outside, isn't it?" Her eyes are a beautiful shade of brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat.
Oh no.
"Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris." "They don't come every year, you know." The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore.
Watch the seagulls.
They seem to wait for something together, fidgeting and rubbing against one another. And when they fly off, they fly together. "These two, these same two, have been coming here ever since I was a boy," the old man says.
Really?
He watches them fly away until their bodies are dots vanishing into the low sun. "Always the same pair. Wonder what keeps him coming back to this town." He shrugs. "It must be home."
No? Story grew. Yeah.
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow.
Watch them.
They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks. They conduct their games in eerie silence.
Make your way
The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor.
Get some sleep.
In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?"
Tell the truth.
Too tired to lie, you tell him about the noise outside your door, the trampling of small feet on the corridor outside, the dreams disturbed with violent and hideous images. "That's odd," he says, weak-eyed. "There are no children staying with us."
Explore.
The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered figure leans out over the rail, eyeing the skyscrapers on the horizon. Nearby, a man and a woman speak in low, urgent voices. He takes her wrist gently. She is weeping softly.
We're going to listen to the couple.
"I wish you didn't have to go,"
she says.
Oh,
"There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up."
His thumb skates over her pulse point.
"I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? It's not forever."
keep listening.
Her words are split by a sob.
"Might as well be. My parents didn't come to New York for this."
She leans against him, the wind tousling her hair. He pulls her to his chest.
"I'm leaving because I gotta go. If there was another way..."
They stand together, close, quiet, in the stiff breeze.
We're going to move on.
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue,
What is that?
unusual in this region where bog iron colors the river's brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement.
Take stock.
You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence.
Drink water.
You cup the water in your hands, ice cold somehow, and take a swallow, soothing the coarseness in your parched throat. Clear as the water is, the stream bed isn't visible, even looking straight down.
Why would I want to swim in the water?
Your feet don't reach the bottom, so you float in the cool water, feeling washed clean. The ripples flow as far as you can see, never fading.
Wave at the goat?
The winged goat snorts and heads in the other direction. He leans against a fence and turns to face you as you pass him by. At his back is a bag full of bird seed. He assures you that the gawky birds perching on his body are the last remaining passenger pigeons.
Oh. I thought they were extinct.
"They look extinct to you?"
You're not sure those dull gray pigeons look anything like the pictures you've seen of passenger pigeons, though you can't help thinking they stare at you a little too intently.
"Say, you like birds?
Sure.
They're lovely creatures. Guileless, really. Hunted damn near to extinction, weren't you?"
He strokes one of his birds under the chin. You think you see drips of blood flecking the creature's dirty gray head.
Excuse me.
You sense it's about time you start moving on.
You be kind to the little birds now, you hear?
You hurry along the road, though the flapping of ungainly wings seems to follow you for hours.
Ooh. I think that's a camp ahead. We're gonna go see what that camp is. Where are we? Ooh, it is.
My twin brother Paul and I always got into trouble, but we were good. We didn't do nothing to anybody until we left. Then we hurt a lot of people. Me, more so than Paul, because he didn't make it through. The march I was on, the bonus army, it's less a bonus and more an acknowledgement of what I've had to suffer. Civilians will never understand. So anyway, tell me a funny story? You seem like you know a few good ones. Yeah, Paul would have liked that one. The past doesn't even feel like it happened. It feels like it's happening in every moment, in every slumber. When your memories come back to you, do they clutch at you? At your heart? Have any exciting kind of story? My memories get my adrenaline up, but they're not exactly fun.
Exciting stories. Let's do this one.
You're fun to listen to, you know? A good distraction, anyway. Home. Well, my sister, Jessie, won't forgive me for what happened to Paul, so she won't let me back home. I made my own way for a while after that, till no one could afford gardeners. Who could stand to care for the land nowadays? Here's the sun. I've got to go. I'm headed up the road this way. Will our paths cross? Days come and go and the terrors return. They'll never be able to pay back what they owe me, but I'll always keep at 'em.
He lost the leg.
What about you? Is there something somebody owes you?